Today we'll be discussing tutorial 11. This is on microeconomics and there'll be a total of 7 questions covering topics 1 to 6. All these questions are randomly selected from the past year exam papers of M&M, and in order to minimize the file size of the video, I will break it down into a few separate video clips, so you will find you have part 1, part 2, part 3 and so on. Okay, so let's get started with the first question. So this diagram shows the demand curve, supply curve. Okay, so you have the equilibrium point. Okay, so part 1 of the question, it says that at the equilibrium E1, which is this point, E1, what are the areas of consumer surplus and producer surplus? Right, so we all know that the consumer surplus is the area below the demand curve. Right, you can see two demand curves here. You have D1 and D2, but now we are referring to equilibrium E1, so we will be looking at the demand curve D1. So this will be the demand curve that we'll be referring to. So area of consumer surplus will be the area below this demand curve and above the market price. So since E1 is the equilibrium point, so the market price will be P1. Okay, so this will be the market price. So let's shade the area above the market price, below the demand curve and above the market price. Okay, so this triangle here will be the consumer surplus. So when you answer the question, you have to mention that the consumer surplus, the area of the consumer surplus is P4 from here, P4, P1, E1. Yeah, so next, the producer surplus. Okay, for producer surplus, it will be the area below the market price. Again, P1 is the market price, P1, and above the supply curve. So now we'll be referring to S1. So the area will be below the market price, above the supply curve. So this triangle will be your producer surplus. So the area of producer surplus will be P1, 0, E1. Okay, so that's how you answer the question. Right, let's move on to the next part of the same question. Okay, so part 2 of the question, it says briefly explain the effect on the area of consumer surplus and producer surplus with the new demand curve D2. Alright, so from the previous question we have looked at the equilibrium point E1, so now we shall move on to E2. Okay, we'll be looking at the new demand curve D2. So if we want to find the area of consumer surplus at a new demand curve, so again this time the market price will now be P2. Okay, previously at E1, previously here, this is the market price. So now if the demand curve moves here, this is the new equilibrium point. So this will be the market price. P2 will be the market price. So again, the area of consumer surplus will be the area below the demand curve and above the market price. So this triangle. Yep. So this is the new consumer surplus. It's represented by the area P3 from P3, P2, E2. So P3, P2, E2. This will be the area of the new consumer surplus. And for producer surplus, so same thing, this is the market price, area below the market price and above the supply curve. Yep, so this is the area. Okay, so new producer surplus will be P2 from P2, 0, E2. So this is the area of the new producer surplus.